Good morning. How are you all? Let me find you on the Book of Faces. Are you well? Welcome to Natasha Makes. If this is your first time joining us this morning, we have got quite a jam-packed show for you this morning. Now, I'm going to try and do this a different way. And, I can hear myself in the other room. That's no good, is it? Now, videos. There we go. So there we are. That means that I can say hello to you all. Right, so I hope you had a lovely weekend. It's been busy, it's been warm, it's been beautiful. What a great weekend. Absolutely stunning. Excuse me, I'll just have a quick tidy up. I suddenly looked at my watch and we were live. And I was in the middle of doing stuff. I'm always doing stuff. So we have had a very busy weekend here at Natasha Makes. Oh, my hands are really dry. Where's my hand cream? Let me find that as well. So we've had a really busy time here at Natasha Makes, basically cutting out about 50 flowers. So what happened was, basically I fell in love with this quilt in the K Facet in the studio book. Just beautiful, and I promised myself that I would do it, that I would absolutely do it, because the actual quilt itself is super easy to put together, no problems at all. That's no problem, that's no bother. And I will show you very quickly. We'll make a cushion size one today and we'll do a few little techniques, and then I wanted to show you different ways in which you can applique, okay? Because there are lots of ways. It's a myriad of ways. So I just wanted to show you a few of the ways that I have used in the past and that I use to applique, which means that you can make this. Hurrah! Now you are going to need 2 meters of blue, 2.5 meters of white, and I've got various blues and whites around the studio to show you, because the tone that you went with, had a big long conversation with Brandon about this at the weekend, because I was showing him this and I said, look, I know that in the book it says to use the Aboriginal and the Air Force shot cotton, which I ordered months ago, and they are still at the port somewhere. They still haven't arrived. So I either just don't do the things I want to do, or I make it fit for me. And so I found a blue that fits really beautifully with the blue of my sofa in my sitting room. And then actually, Brandon's like, yeah, do you know what? Use the book as a serving suggestion. Use it to as that recipe that you then adapt to suit you, to your taste. So that's exactly what I've done, and they were super cool about it, really lovely about it. I'm just trying to, whoops, what have I just dropped on the floor? Oh, my screwdriver. So I'm going to show you very quickly how to put the quilt together, because it really is super easy. And I just want that. There we go. There we go. And then we'll look at we can look at all the different fabrics at any point. There are a lot. This morning, when I finally got all the flowers where I wanted them to be, this was my saviour. Who knew that this little chap, the Prim Mini Iron, it's got a 2 meter lead, so much longer than any other iron I possess at all. So the Prim Mini Iron has been my saviour today, and it can go back. It's done its work. Its work here is done. Can sit back there. That always goes on my trolley. My trolley goes with me everywhere. The other thing that's been a super saver this morning has been my embroidery hoop. You can be like, what is she doing? What sort of a demo is she doing? These little chaps as well. It's all going to come together, you'll see. Let's take a good morning to a few people, shall we? Okay, who do we have? Rona, good morning. Alison and April, morning. And Margaret, good morning. And Jane, good morning. And Ali and Bronwyn and who else? We Laurie. She says good morning to the Makes team. They are making it happen this morning. Oh, now there is something very special happening with the book today. SJ says that if you purchase the book today, we will send you a £5 voucher, valid until the end of the month. We can't really do free P&P and stuff like that. So if you're getting the book today with some fabric, then we will send you, SJ will send you an email with a voucher. There we go. Good morning, Natasha and Tim. Lovely day here in South London. Good morning. So Susan, have the day off so I can watch. Well, this is fabulous. And Hayley's watching. Good morning. And Joe. Bet it is beautiful in Snowdonia. Yeah. And Penny and Anne. Good morning. And Claire. Are you feeling better? Oh, you still can't shift your cold. Oh, take care. Morning, Steph. Morning, Francis. Morning, Jackie. Morning, Pam. Just back from the school run. It was lovely to do something normal. Yeah, mine don't go back till tomorrow, so they're having haircuts today. I say they. Obviously, the wild child is not having her haircut, but Freddie's having his all made nice. Oh, Helen's got a job interview. Good luck for that. Did you manage to get the kitty fur off your gorgeous quilt? Was there kitty fur? They're probably just kittens that were just generally attached to two cats. Probably. Ali, loving your royal earrings, Natasha. Oh, Karen made these. I love them. I've got a matching necklace as well, but it banged on my microphone, so I couldn't wear it. Morning, Geraldine. She's got to go out. Everyone's going out. Morning, Sonia. Loving the quilt in the background and the gorgeous fabric on the table. Yeah, it is my happy place. This morning is my happy place. We are going to attempt some free motion embroidery today. Oh, yep. Feel my pain. But it's going to be worth it. And I've got lots of hints and tips and techniques and jobby things to help us along the way. So tomorrow we are going to make this because we've got more of the frames in. So let me show you this. We are going to have a look at the Treasure Tote frame bag pattern. This is from Lisa. I've got a whole load more of those frames, and I promised that when they came in we would make that bag together. We are starting to be allowed out. Hooray! So we should go out with gorgeous bags and things, armed with beautiful bags. And there's a template in there, and I'm going to show you how to make it. Right, today we are also going to use these little goodies. So these are applique scissors. So we have got the Duct build platypus scissors. They're just Duct build applique scissors. They have been phenomenal to use for this project, and also are, well, what do they actually call these? Precision cut applique scissors. Yes. All of that, we can use those. I'm going to show you lots of different ways today. Okay, so this is the quilt. My beautiful book. Let's have a look from above. This is the book. You can see this is all my notes from where I've interviewed Kaif. Make a lot of notes. Well, this is just the tags for the notes. Someone emailed me. They said that they were trying to do this, and could I help with the colours? I'm really sorry. I don't do needlepoint. Oh, look, here are some of my flowers, some spare ones. So I'm not very good at helping on that. In the back of the book, obviously, when you go through, like, the book is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And at the back, there are how-tos with needlepoint, with quilts. So you can make this quilt. You can make the quilt that I'm about to make. Here we go. This is the inspiration for this. And these are the fabrics that they suggest for this. I went rogue, not gonna lie. And that's okay, everybody, it's all okay. And there it is. I absolutely adore this quilt. There's absolutely no two ways about it. And look, here we go. So this is the floral stripe quilt, and it is very en vogue at the moment. They've got some sort of model. Oh, it's Chris, it's Le Croix, sweetie, Le Croix. And so all of these, oh look, you see, my tag here just says, I heart this very much. That was my note to myself, just, I heart this very much. And basically, I'm going to be using it. So here's the book. And this gave me the inspiration. I love the Laughing Buddhas. When Cave said it, he said it kind of reminded me of my mother. I thought, well, I knew she had a lot of kids, but you know, it's a bit harsh. And he's like, no, she always had Buddhas. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's kind of a better reason for loving that. So, I mean, the book, oh, look, there's my coat. Oh, I love my coat. And there it is in the book. This is a lovely place in Cornwall, which is Port Eliot House in Cornwall, which is a little bit quirky, but very gorgeous. I think they need a new roof. Anyway, and this is their home. I love, and these are Brandon's wellies for festival season. He got Cave to paint them for him in the tumbling blocks to match their quilt. This took 3 months with 3 to 4 people stitching it. I mean, just phenomenal. There's his bathroom. I mean, it's all in here. It's all in here. It is just a stunning, stunning book. But we are going to be, there he is. Morning, Cave. We're going to be looking at this because in the background, you get quilting basics, so you get taught all of that. You see, and then we've got this and this. Aren't they beautiful? So it's not just, and you get all your yarn colours and everything. If you want to follow it exactly as is, there's your template. Oh, I want to do all of these. Anyway, the one we're doing today is this. So this is a very simple quilt to put together. I wanted to try it for many reasons. Firstly, I love it. And secondly, because I wanted to test out my new machine for quilting and for free motion and all those things. So here we are. This is our starting point here. So the first thing you're going to need are your fabrics. So you need 2 meters of blue and 2.5 of white. Now, what we've got here, and these are all up by the 1/2 meter. So you would put in 5 units of white and 4 units of the blue. Now, these are Moda. In the book, he uses a shot cotton for the blue and the Aboriginal print, which sort of from afar looks like just a plain but with a little bit of interest, and that's always what the Aboriginals have kind of been there for, the Aboriginal prints. The closest I could get was Moda if you want that interest. Now for me, I think it looks beautiful either way. This is kind of your top budget one. If you want to go for these, then like I say, 4 units. And if you go to the website, www.natashamakes.com, you will find these by the 1/2 meter. Okay, they will be on today's page. So if you watch the show on there, underneath are all the items for the show and they will be there. Okay, so, but not everybody wants such a dark blue. Brandon was worried that that was too dark, but then he changed his mind and said this morning that it did a lovely job. So that was all good. So let's have a look at a quilt for every budget. So And also every home. I mean, it might be that actually purple is your colour, in which case do purple and cream stripes. Like, it doesn't have to be. This is about taking a basic quilt and making it your own. Out of our plains, so let's just show you here, our plains, and they are $3.99 per half a metre. So we have got, and I've just grabbed, we've got more in the warehouse. So this is white. So if you wanted to do, maybe you want to just stick to a plain white and just go half plain, half moda. Absolutely fine. Why not do that? This is cream. So if you want something, this is ivory, sorry. So if you want something slightly softer, then go with your cream. Now this blue here has got a mark on it, so I shall use that today. This is Copen. So it might be that you want to go Copen and ivory, and that would be beautiful. And that is probably that or the Cadet. Those two are probably closer to the blue in the book than I have used. This one is probably the closest here, which is your Copen. So if you want to go as close to the book as possible, go Copen. Okay. If you've got, maybe you want to go slightly lighter, but you see, blue is just such a fabulous background color. And when you start putting these on, they're going to pop whichever shade of blue you go for. Maybe you have something in your home that is a brighter blue, in which case, why not look at a royal? Royal with either if I put this in the middle here. So again, and then do you want slightly softer if your home is it maybe has a sort of an older feel to it, and I don't mean like outdated. I mean, like, I've got beams and stuff and my walls are magnolia, hate to say it. So this might sit better with that. If you've got a more modern house and you've got white walls, maybe you want to go for the white instead. But again, all of these, if I just throw a few flowers around at you, you can see instantly it's gonna look great. Whichever blue you go for, it's entirely your choice whether you want to pick up the moda. I went dark because that suits my sofa, so I made it for me. Shock horror, because it is going to be on mine. This is marine. So you've got marine, you've got royal. This is the dark one here. This is your moda, so that is a darker one. And then just to reiterate, this one here is your Cadet. And this one is your Copen. So they are your different shades. There's like a shade, they're just there in each shade order. So again, have a look around your own home. The flowers are gonna look phenomenal against any of them. You know, and whether you choose to go white or whether you choose to go cream, have a look at your home, what suits your home. I cannot stress this enough. If you're making this for yourself, have a look at what you want and what suits your home. Whether you want the starkness of the white, because, you know, some people have really white walls. If you've got softer colour walls, maybe look at that. But I mean, you can see, if I go overhead again, this is white, this is ivory. And they look fab on both. This will give it a little bit more pop. This will just allow them to a little bit more. So again, this is down to your choice. So I didn't want to bundle and make it that you could only have this or you could only have that. Remember, it's 2.5 meters, so 5 units of the white or the ivory, and then it's 4 units of whatever blue you go for. Okay. Now with the Moda, the beauty of the Moda is that it's a mix of whites and creams. So if you can't decide, go Moda, and then you don't have to. You don't have to decide because it's kind of done for you. You've got a little bit of texture in there, which is really nice to have. But again, it comes at slightly more of a cost. So I wanted this, I love this so much, I wanted it to be available for all pockets, okay? That was really important for me, to be able to make this available for everyone. Right, let's put these to one side for now. And now let's have a look at the fabrics that are actually in the quilt. So which flowers have we used? In the book, they use, if you want to stay true, I don't have all of them, but they use a bearded iris, they use, oh gosh, what is this one even called? I do know, dancing dahlias, they use the amaryllis, and they use the cactus flower. Now, what shades is up to you, because when you cut them out, I think looking at the fabrics and the ones that they chose, they all had kind of a bluey background. So if you fussy cut round and you miss some, it was going to blend through. But actually, the way that I've fussy cut, you can't see any of the background, so you are all good. They just pop. So I would get, or use what you've got. If you've got some left over, which is what I'm going to do, if you've got some left over, then just use those. You know, use those up. But a ½ meter of each is fantastic. You know, you can really make that work. It suggests slightly more in the book, but I think that is so that you can fussy cut. You've got more choices, but I got mine out of ½ meters, and I love them. I love them. Maybe if you're going for the cactus flower, get a little bit more, because they are much bigger flowers. So let's see what options we have by the ½ meter. So this is your natural. This is all over my quilt. It's a really lovely one. Here we go. These are some from here. But if you wanted to go for another colourway, if you love your pinks, then I've put in a mixture of these. These are in here as well. And this is from the Dancing Dahlias in red. So again, maybe you're going to want some that are more purpley. I love this one. I've got this one in my quilt somewhere as well. But then I've also taken out these. So I've done a mixture of both. I had scraps. Please put Dancing Dahlias multi and red near the door when shown, smiley face. Will do, Gemma. Will do. Getting all the messages. And then you've got that. Do you need to know amounts? Do you need to know amounts? You need quantities. All right, well, that's easy enough then. I will get these so that we can then get quantities up for you. So they are, you can choose either one of those. Let me do as I'm told. For once, I hear you say, there you go. Now, we have got a few options for you here with the irises. I love these. You might have some left over from when they came out last year. Now, in the quilt, they use this one, which is, I think they call it the Amaryllis Natural. Yeah, natural. And I have got, 10 of those. So that's it in natural, that's it in pink, that is it in, I want to say green. Yeah. But then if you love your blues, you might want some of those in. I So they don't, in the book, they don't use the blues, but if you look at my quilt, I have used some of the cactus flower in blue, and I've put those in mine, and I absolutely love them. And that was my little treat to myself because I love blues. So that's there. Now that is, yes, you've got 4 different colour options that you can take with these, and they're all absolutely beautiful. So here we go, let me just show you that again. So you can go for the green, you can go for the purpley blue, or, you know, a mixture. This is it. So in gardens, you don't go, oh no, nature, you can't put pink and red next to each other. That's wrong. Like, it just doesn't happen. For me, this is a scattered garden, and it just looks beautiful. So they are your amaryllis options. Bearded iris. I wanted to throw this into the mix. Now, I've got 2 different colourways for you. I don't have the colourway that they suggested in the book. We're all out of that. If you've got some left over, fabulous. I used this. Having said that, the purpley blues and the reds here would be phenomenal. But I just grabbed this. I had a ½ metre already cut of this, so I grabbed it and went. And I absolutely love it. Let me show it to you here. So you might be thinking, oh gosh, it's a bit dark. It's a bit dark. I don't know. Here we go. Here's one here. And it just pops. I love it. There's another one hiding over here. I don't know if you can see down there. So they're sort of, and there's another one there. Oh, there you go, there. Beautiful, beautiful. And so that was from this, because you don't see the background. You just see the flower, which is fab. So that is that option, and I threw that one into the mix. But like I say, if you're looking, then yeah, if you might want to pick out this beautiful red one here, that's a bit stunning, and this purple one. And again, forget the colour of the background, you're not going to see that. It's just these flowers that we're after. I will probably make this quilt again. I really enjoyed doing it. Right. Then, oh, I've just thrown this into mix because we had some and it was rather lovely, and you could cut some of those out. So that's another option for you. Now, colourways of the cactus flower that we have in stock are all the new ones. Just trying to see which colours I went with. So I used colours from here and here. So let me show you these. So I used, that's from the orangey brownie one there. That's from the bluey one there, blue one there, blue one. Yeah, I might have got slightly overexcited. Up in the corner, we've got the brown one. This is one of my favourite fabrics. I might have got overexcited with this one. You can see I've got a little bit of amaryllis there, and this is from the Dancing Dahlias. That's the pinky version. That's from the other Dancing Dahlias. I've really mixed this up. Okay, I have not stuck to just their colourways. I've thrown everything at it. And then this is your cactus flower in tawny. This is due in today. So for those of you that bought the complete collection or have got this on order, I've had notification from FedEx. This is due in today. For some reason it was missed off our order, but this is due in today. So this is another beautiful one to add in. You know, maybe you want some of these colourways. So I've got that one, and that one all in my quilt. All in my quilt. And I just adore it. I think it looks fabulous. I don't know what I just used that on a bag. That's why I'd use that up there. Seeing a slight obsession here. Oops. We'll demo with that. But, you know, look, these are the options. These are the fabrics that we have in stock if you don't have any at home. Even if you've just got a little bit left at home, throw some in. And then it struck me, oh my goodness, what if, almost for corner set, I thought, you know, I'd like to do one version where I have one of these enormous peonies in any of the colorways, even in the green. Inga said that she'd do shades of green and then have it like a lawn, like a really nicely mown lawn, and then to put all your colours in. So we've got the peonies as well. Gosh, not much left on that bolt. So yeah, they could be, do you know what? Let's just get rid of that. We'll fold that. But again, don't look at the background colour so much because that's not what you're going to be cutting. You're going to be appliquing these out. Maybe you want to get this beautiful hit of green in there. Gorgeous. And then this one here, this would be beautiful. If you love your purple flowers, taking some of those out. Maybe you've got, I don't know, other ones at home that you might want to throw in. Maybe you've got like some of the Japanese chrysanthemums, some of those to throw in there. What you're basically looking for are some of the Philip Jacobs prints that, this is on order, by the way, this is on its way, again, stuck somewhere. Where you've got the main part of the outside of the flower with a background behind it. So with not out too much overlap into other flowers. Okay, so how do we applique then? That is the next question. There are lots of ways. You know, there are, and this is the version that I used. And is fussy cutting, basic fussy cutting. So the very first thing that I did was to just rough cut around the flower that I wanted. It's very tempting when you applique to now you see here, so here you can see that this goes into that flower. Now that is a beautiful flower and I could well come back and use that later. So as I rough cut around, actually I'm going to be super precise as I cut that bit out. Am I going to use half a flower here? Nah. So there we go. So that is your very first thing is, right, rough cut around it. Now I'm going to use some Wonder Web. This goes by many different names. Okay, so you can do this with Mistifuse. If you've got Mistifuse, that's absolutely fab. Use that. If you've got Bond and Repair, we sell that by the ½ meter. It's a great long piece. Then yeah, great. Use that. If you have got, and we've just got it in today, which is the one. Is it called Wonder Web? Or Fuser Web, so a packet of Fuser Web or 2 packets of Fuser Web, again, is going to work with this. If you use Bonder Web, and let me just see if I've got some up here, then you absolutely can use that. Of course you can. I'm not sure if I've actually got, oh, here we go. So I'll show you various different ways, okay, to get the job done. I'm going to use some sort of Fuser Web, Mistifuse, Bond and Repair, some sort of web-based adhesive there. And then I'm also going to show you how to do with this one. Now this is slightly different. this is your bond, this is your, oh look, the very last bit of it, bonder web. And so it's the same product in that it's a double side adhesive, and it's like a web of adhesive, but it's on a carrier sheet. Okay, so if you're gonna do this, firstly get your second best pair of scissors. Where have they gone? Oh, here we go. Or use your paper scissors to start off with, or your second best pair of scissors. But just, you certainly don't want to use your best. Ah, this is mushing it all over the place. I think these need to be relegated to not very good at all scissors. They have been well loved. And then you see that's going to go over that piece of fabric there, and you will just make sure that that is all good. I am going to have a little change around, okay? So let's do some adhesive-y stuff now, and then we'll come back. I'm going to move this mat out of the way so that I can... Okay, so what am I layering up? I'm going to have my pressing mat. Habit, I love it. When I came to actually press the quilt, I got my big ironing board out and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so spongy. I have been super duper spoilt because I use my pressing mat all the time, and because it's onto a wooden surface, it just gives me such a beautiful crisp finish. Now, this is basically a sugar mat. I have seen very expensive versions of these at like 5, 6, 7 times the price of what I paid for my mats. You can get 2 of them from us for $9.99, 2 different sizes, so like that sort of size and that sort of size. These new ones that I've got in have got grey. They're all vacuum packed, so I won't undo them. But you've got 2 different sizes, and yeah, what they do, they've got like little holes inside them. They're silicone, so nothing sticks, but it just draws the adhesive down to there. So these are really, really useful when you are dealing with applique. So yeah, we've got some stock. I think we've got like 10 packs of these, but they are phenomenal. So I'm just going to pop one of these onto here. This is protecting my surface. This is just for me, this is my personal preference. This is my goddess sheet. Okay, so if any of you have looked on the website and gone, oh, what is a goddess sheet? It's this. It's basically a Teflon or a silicone sheet, and it's got, theirs is slightly different because it has a little curved corner there, and I did have a little smiley face on there so that I knew that if I had that pressing up, then no adhesive had been on there, and it was safe for me to put my iron on there. We've got like an Applique Starter Kit, so if you want a bigger mat, then grab that. Look, this was from Emily's Applique for her toweling robe, and again, it just means it's double the size. So we've got those on the website as well. This does exactly the same job as that. It's just that this one is bigger and slightly less expensive because it's not branded. But this is my goddess sheet. I've had it for years, and this is what I'm going to use today. So we were all set to here we go. I'm going to work on this because as soon as I've got any kind of adhesion, I want that being drawn down into the mat. This is my bonder web. I've got a paper side and a shiny side. I'm going to pop that over there, Like I say, if you want to trim any bits back because you think, oh, well, I might use this later, you might not want it with bonded web on it, and that's absolutely fine. But that is it. Now, I'm going to place my pressing mat on top so that I do not gunk up my my iron. Okay, in just a few moments in each position, all that's doing is melting that glue, melting that adhesion. Now you'll notice I've gone over onto my mat. There's a little, I just want to show you this. It's just having the right tools for the job. So firstly, if any of the glue seeps out, it's absolutely fine. This is now bonded onto my fabric. This retains the heat, so this will keep it warm. So you want to remove it from there, let it cool. Do not cut that until it cools. But people were saying to me on Facebook, well, you know, how is it not going to fray? If you are worrying about fray, if you're going to put this to one side, for let's be honest, peeps, some of us don't get this done in a weekend. Some of us are going to take a couple of months to do this, and that's absolutely fine. If you are going to be one of those people, then maybe you want to then just rough cut this out and keep it on your paper until you are ready to cut it and store it. Now, you can see these were cut on the weekend. These were cut with Mistifuse and Bond Web. I ran out of Mistifuse part way, so they're a mixture of Bond Web, Bond and Repair and Mistifuse. Both of those products do not have the paper carrying sheet that Bond Web does. So you just have the webbing on the back. Now, as I was cutting these out, I put my back out. That was what sort of started all of this. I put my back out, so I needed something that I could sit and do. Now, as I sat and did these, you also have to realise that I was massively helped by two kittens who were basically rolling around on top of these once they had been cut. So not only have these been cut, they've been put in books, they've been moved around, and you can see that because it's got either the Mistifuse or the Bond and Repair on the back, it hasn't frayed. So as long as you've got one of those things on there, it's going to keep. So don't think, oh, I must use Bondaweb with the paper carrying thing on the back to stop it from fraying. If you've got a quality product like your Mistifuse or any of those, they will be absolutely fine. You can see absolutely no fray on any of these, and they have been much loved. In fact, I think there's a photo on Facebook of Naughty Morty rolling around in these. It's my own quilt, doesn't matter. As I was sitting cutting these out, there's absolutely no fray. Okay, so I think also with this, sometimes people worry about which scissors to use with Bondaweb because of the paper. I would say go down from your best pair, take a step down from there. But also always let these cool before you go into cutting any of them. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is what we had earlier. Now this one, I believe, from the feel of it, is this is Bond and Repair. The Mistifuse is pretty much the same. Okay, now I'm happy to use my fabric scissors on these because there's no conflict with, oh, it's got a paper carrier, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just going to rough cut around these. But here's the thing, don't throw those scraps away. And here's why, because if you miss a bit or you want to add a bit, then just stuff a little bit of this under and you can make it up. Now you can see there is adhesive around the edge. Like, I'm not being super neat. There are 50 of these to cut. I'm not going to be super neat. I will place that over the top. So I've got my sandwich. I've got my silicone mat. I've got my Mistifuse, Bond and Repair, Fuser Web, whichever one you've gone for. They all work the same way. And then I've got my flower on top, and then I've got my silicone pressing sheet, be it your goddess sheet, be it your applique sheet, be it your applique mat, your silicone applique mat. They work in the same way. Trying to get Mistifuse at the moment. Mistifuse, I love Mistifuse because of the company's ethos, but actually since lockdown, trying to get hold of it has been impossible. So it's kind of forced me to use other products, and they've all worked as well. The Bond and Repair won't be quite so light. There we go. So just press that onto there. And then pull it back. And again, pull that back there. Now, let's have a look close up what's going on here. So now, can you see you've got kind of a shiny surface to there and a bit of fluff. Let's take that off. Yeah, try to remove any fluff before you start. Whoop, there we are. So, I mean, case in point, if that's removed some of your bonding agent, like it has for me, where that bit was, then I'll just pop a little bit on there. Go back in and bond it. No problem. So if you do have a bit that you've missed or anything like that, that's absolutely fine. And that, like, you can keep that. As you can see with these, I've stacked mine here. They don't stick to each other. Once it's cool, they won't stick to each other. That's cool now. And then you're safe to cut into this. Now, let's have a look back at the silicone mat, where I was not careful to cut exactly. I find this quite satisfying. There is a little bit of adhesive that went on to my applique, silicone, whatever you want to call it, mat. And all I'm going to do is just rub it off like that. And it's gone. And if you rub your hand over it, you can feel if there's anything sticky left. And just take it off. And that's it. That's good to go again. Like, no problem. No problem at all. So once, look at all this thread. So whether you are doing this with your bonded paper, whether you're doing it just with this, go in with a big pair of scissors. Okay, not a little pair. It's really easy to think you're just going to need a little pair. So these are great. These are great. Whichever ones you want to use, you know, they're all going to work fabulously. You just want a pair that are going to cut from the base all the way to the tip. And this is, if we're talking of tips, this is my tip for you. As you go round, hold it in your left hand, or, you know, vice versa if you are left-handed, and move as you shut the scissors. move the fabric. And this was a tip. I used to work in papercraft, and this was a tip that all of the applique people there said to us, you know, never move your scissors, move the fabric around it. So that's what I do, and you just get that bigger cut, which is why you want to go with a big pair of scissors, because then you've got all of that blade length to go down. And if you want to, now I did this sitting on my lap, with this just in my lap whilst I watched TV. I can't actually remember the last time I sat down to watch TV, so that was a little bit of a treat. I say it was a treat. I watched the funeral. It's not a treat, is it? But it was very moving. Oh my gosh, the Queen, bless her. Isn't she amazing? The more I hear about the Prince of Wales, the more I like him. He was never really very well loved by the press, was he? So you only ever heard the negative stuff. But I was reading that Norman Tebbett's wife was she was partially paralysed from an incident, and she was really worried about going for dinner with the Queen because she struggled with knives and forks. So when the first course arrived, she was sat next to Prince Philip, and he handed back his knife and fork to the servant that had given him his dinner and ate with his fingers, which allowed her to do the same. And you don't hear, it's only now that you hear those, and I just thought, oh gosh, what a guy. That's, you know, that's properly thoughtful, isn't it? So that was what I was watching whilst I was cutting these out. And so this is just one way. But you can really see, like, these fabrics are so beautiful. Actually, this would also look gorgeous in our Lisa Chandler fabrics as well. It would be a very different style, but they would also look beautiful because the talent is there. All of these florals are the work of Philip Jacobs, and then Kaffe gets involved with the colour. And so, you know, I mean, Philip Jacobs has designed for Sanderson. He's designed for Liberty. He has had fabric prints. I remember when I was interviewing him, he's like, yeah, I do remember being quite surprised one day when I was watching the news and in the White House there was some of my fabric. Put my glasses on so I can actually see. And yeah, I would be very surprised if any of my fabric was ever in the White House. But, you know, he's just like, oh, you know, it's good to see. and he just like, oh yeah, no, that was nice. So these are artists of absolute quality and pedigree. And when you're working with that, you know, you can't help but to go, well. And does it matter if I'm super accurate? No, it really doesn't, because no one is going to know. I mean, I'm doing it nice and accurately because, you know, we're on to Delhi. But I can assure you that I did not. I went over some of the lines and it just didn't matter. But I'm always moving, and honestly, I cannot stress this enough. I am always moving the fabric and not the scissors. So you just sort of offer it up to the blade, and you can see my left hand here working to keep up. And if you want to come in from this angle, And that's why you want a sharp hair that's sharp to the tip, so that when you get to that little bit, you can just whee. Okay, do I want a little bit of leaf in there? Yeah, why not? And, you know, it might be that you've just got one little thread there. But again, that's where having a good scissors is a thing. Okay. How stunning is that? Now, the only other thing I just wanted to say, so right, on this bit here, let's use another pair just to show you that, you know, any old pair, doesn't matter, as long as they're sharp. You can see that it's been the edge of the fabric, I've used that somewhere else. So cheat that point. Oh, these work beautifully as well. Just create. No one is going to know that you didn't quite look. Here we go, case in point here. There it is at the end of that fabric there. So I'm just going to come in and curve it. And create one of those other shapes. And then so otherwise you're not going to have, I mean here as well, you see the fabric's cut straight. It was the edge of the piece of fabric or whatever. So I'm just going to create that little bit of interest. No one's going to know. See, it doesn't matter, nobody knows that there should have been another petal there, which means that you can be really frugal. Okay, and so round we go again. But don't they look stunning? And that's with your bonder web. Basically, whichever method you use, you want to get to the stage where you have a fabric that has some sort of adhesive webbing on the back. Now, when you come to remove your bonder web, don't peel it from there because you'll fray your edges. Get a pin, scratch the back and lift it from there. Okay. Alrighty. So next thing to do then is going to be to make the quilt bottom. All right. So you will just repeat that with your flowers a lot, with your chosen flowers a lot. But actually, it doesn't take as long once you get sitting down and you get cracking. It really doesn't take as long as you think it might. Okay, so let's then put this on maybe to, let's just have a look at how we then make the actual quilt base. Are we all right this morning? Good morning, Donna. Hello, hello, Helen. Hello, Heather. Good morning. Good morning, Karen from sunny Devon. Beautiful. Good morning, Kaz. Good morning, Francis. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Janet. Can eau de coat be used on cork? I do not see why not. You'd probably have to paint it on though. Yeah. Jane, greetings from sunny North Devon. Oh, Laurie bought the book. Well done. Carol, morning from a warm and sunny Northumberland. Love the quilt and pleased that you got the flowers off the kittens. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. They were little tinkers. Absolute little tinkers. Morning, Heidi from sunny Cyprus. How is, I think it was you, with your rescue dog. How is your beautiful rescue dog coming on? Oh, Susan's been gifted an AeroPress coffee machine, so having interesting coffees. Ooh, Ooh. And Dawn's going to watch while she finishes her coffee and then going to take her mum for a pre-op COVID test. You have all the fun. You have all the fun, my goodness. Oh, Laurie says, I've got a Karen necklace and earrings as well. They're brilliant. Yeah, her Etsy shop. Laurie, can you remember the name of it? Or maybe Karen's watching this morning. I don't know. She might be having a well-earned break. Diane says, love the glasses. Are they new or am I not observant? So the glasses, I suddenly realised that I was getting migraine after migraine after migraine. So this is my first little go at how can I stop the headaches? And yeah, not squinting all the time because I refuse to, grow up. Would be one of them, would be a great start. Do you know what? I've got somewhere. Oh, here we go. If you don't like metal, turn your volume down. But we have various, can't bear blunt scissors. I absolutely can't. My husband hates the sound of metal on metal, so I can only do this. And I have to sharpen all the kitchen knives as well. So I can only do this when he's not here. And he's taken Freddie out for a haircut. But this is a great way just to oh, that's better. There we go. And also just a little bit of alcohol just to lift off any adhesion on there, because they get used for all sorts. Right, okay, so I'm happy again. I think we've got some of those sharpeners on the website, all the little mini ones as well. They're great. Just in between, if you've bought any of these ones, any of these scissors, we are going to talk scissors a little bit today as well because it's kind of important. If you have any of the Inspira scissors, and we're going to be working with these ones as well today. I know it looks like I am, busy getting ready for some kind of surgery, but these have all got bolts on. I don't know if you know this, a lot of you do, a lot of you don't. But that means that they can be sent away and professionally sharpened. So when they say that these scissors will last you generations, they will last you generations if you look after them and you get them sharpened professionally. In the meantime, in between times, as long as they're not micro serrated, you can stick them in, the sharpener that I've just used, and that's absolutely fine. These are fab as well, these little blunt ones. I was trimming Maud's lady beard with my pair, not this pair. This one's safe, but yeah, I now have a pair that's Maud's very own for trimming her lady beard and her matty bits out of her fur, because she is a grubhound. So other uses you didn't know that you needed. But yeah, these are scissors for a generation. And just if we're going to look at, now I've got various machine oil, how to look after them. Get your machine oil and a little bit around here, a little bit of oil, and then you get a cloth, and because you can put it down the blade, and then just with a cloth, she says, now realizing that she has no cloth anywhere near. Where's my scraps? Quick, find a scrap. Here we go, this will do. Wipe down the blade. All right, and at the same time whack a little bit of we've got machine oil actually on the website, sewing machine oil, but that will just keep them all working absolute treat. These only came out of the packet the other day, so they are all good, but yeah, a bit of oil just to keep them going, just a little bit of maintenance, just helps everything, right? Okay, we're going to look at those in a minute, because there are other ways in which you can do all of this. So let's make that background fabric. So you are going to cut yourself some strips. I used my Stripology ruler, which meant it was cut in no time at all. The book will give you all of the measurements that you need. Let me move some of these out of the way so we've actually got some space. There we go. And then we can bring back shock horror, the cutting mat. Keep all your little pieces because they will all come in handy at some point. Right, hello, cutting mat. Whoops. Here we are. It's your time to shine. Whoop. As I send everything everywhere. Put that to one side. There we go. Right, okay. If you've got your stripology ruler, then you are all good. Oh, there's Inga's list of things. Could I please print her out? Here's the fabric. So Tracy said to me, oh, I can't use it would take me forever. I had all of this quilt cut out in less than 10 minutes. I promise you, it was super, super easy. The very first thing, whenever you use a stripology ruler, they are going to be back in stock very, very soon, is to line up the base, just make sure that it's all lined up beautifully. Take off the side. Just take off the side. What that means is that you are working with a true edge there, okay? Because when you folded it, it might be that it wasn't quite right. And then you just cut your strips. That's it. Okay, so I've got my strips in the blue. In the instructions, it wants these strips to be 40 inches. As far as I could see, because you then sew them end on end on end. That is only to make sure that you don't encounter any salvage bits. All right. So for me, obviously, I had to make this quite quickly. I made the whole quilt this weekend and I wasn't here for half of it. So I just lined up my edges and just took the salvage off. And that was absolutely fine. You have got choices as to how you want to join these, because the next thing is to join these end on end on end. So you can do it as you would binding. And this, again, this is personal choice as to how you want to do this. So you can put them right sides together like that, and then draw on your line diagonally, stitch on that line, and then that will join in a diagonal fashion, and you can do all of your strips like that. Or what I did, I had all of them piled up here, and then I just went in with some batch sewing. So let me just show you very quickly what that looked like. So end on end onto my sewing machine. Let me just check. Sorry, I had my feed dogs down. Yeah, that's happy then. So I am right sides together. I'm going to take this top piece, fold it back. Then I will get my next piece right sides together and then go underneath. Get the end of this, flip it back so that the right side is facing up, put the next one right side down, and I just did that the whole way. So you'll end up with a chain like that. Get whatever snips you've got there. And then you're going to open them out, press them apart. Okay, and that's what you're going to do. And I did that all the way along. So I just did this little bit by little bit. So first step was cut all my strips. Next step was sew them all end on end, end on end, end on end. And I knew that we were due to go out as a family in the afternoon. And then when I press also where it's been folded on the bolt, I just press that out as well. And then here, press that out. And I would work my way along. Now for the white, the strips were slightly larger. And again, I've doubled up here on my fabric. So this is another way in which I was quick. So I'm cutting through 4 layers of fabric, so 2 lots in one go. Only do this if you feel confident. But first thing that I will do is, again, take these edges off so that everything is straight. Okay. And then I'm going in. And that's my white cut. You know, it really is just so super quick and easy. And again, next step, all I did was line up those edges. Just take those edges off because they're your selvage edges. They've got a slightly different texture to the rest of your fabric, so just take them off. So the prior and proper preparation to prevent poor performance is all here, of course. Load them up. And you can afford to be quite generous with how much you take off, that's no problem. And then we're going to take it to the machine. This was slightly harder to see when I did mine. I started early in the morning, so I was working under an artificial light. But you can see with the Moda Grunge which is your right or wrong way. If you're working with the plains, there isn't a right or wrong way, so you're all good. Okay. So I just knew that as I picked it up off my pile, I needed to flip it so that I was right sides together. Stitch that with 1/4 inch. Then get to the end of that top piece, flip it back on itself so it's right side facing up. Take my next piece, put it right side down so that we're right sides together, and then stitch it again. Take the top piece, which was right side down, get to the end, flip it right side up, next piece off the pile, right side down, so that they are right sides together. This only matters if you're working with a patterned fabric. And what you just want to get to is just into that flow, into that swing, so that you've got all of these fabric pieces end on end on end on end on end, looking fabulous. And of course, chain stitching is your fastest way of doing all of these. And also, if you get into this rhythm, if you get into this routine whereby you've got them all stacked up and they're, you know, right sides up, then you put your right side facing down. It just speeds things up. There we go. So, all sorts of scissory things going on today. Oh, by the way, these are amazing. These are my little snips. And if I were to cut anything wrong or stitch anything wrong, these are brilliant. Let me just show you what I mean. I get to the end here. Say I've sewn something the wrong way. You can go in with these and just snip. I hadn't realised. I'm trying to do it. It's a bit awkward because I'm trying to show you this so that you can actually see. I don't know if you can see. Just go in and snip, snip. They're just great. I hadn't realised. You can go in. I don't know if you can. I'm trying to do it. It looks really awkward because I'm trying to do it for an angle for you to see. But here we go. So if you need to unstitch, they're so super sharp. And again, these are part of the Inspira ones. You remember the ones that I managed to get on a really good deal for you guys, because they're changing the packaging. Not the actual product, just the bit you throw away, the packaging. So the new packaging, I'm sure, will look very pretty, but you're still going to throw it away. And there it is. How good are they? Yeah, they're the little snips. They're fab. And of course, also, if you're doing embroidery, then it just protects. You've got that curved bit to just put that. Right, okay. So. Next, what you want to do is obviously press all of these things. Now, I'll do kind of like a cushion size, so I'm not going to expect you to sit there while I make an entire quilt base again. That would be super boring. And we don't want that. So the thing to do is finger press that. So remember, you are going to need 2.5 meters of white, 2 meters of blue, and then 4.5 meters of your chosen floral. Okay, and we've already looked at fussy cutting some of those. You have to cut these into certain lengths to then sew together in pairs and and all of that. Now again, I batch did those as well, chain piece those. But here's the thing, I cut them at least 1/2 inch because I'd been, you know, I hadn't cut these to 40 inches. I'd cut them probably 1 inch or so more, just the way that I'd cut the selvages off. Meant that I knew I had some wiggle room. So what that meant was, so Sam, I'm going to do this for a cushion, and I want it to be, let's say it's going to be like an 18-inch cushion. Then you can either cut it absolutely exact, or what I did was cut so that it was, and again, you can do this with your rotary cutter, you can do it whatever. There's my 18-inch line, so I probably went to about, helps if it's not falling over the table, about 19 inches. So I cut them ever so slightly longer. And I wasn't terribly accurate about it, but I made sure that they were longer. Okay. And then what that meant was, when we go to the machine, you'll see, I could have spent a lot of time then cutting these strips all exactly, all absolutely perfectly to match, but I didn't. What I did instead was, knowing that this was ever so slightly longer, right sides together, right sides together. I took it to the machine. Now, because the blue is slightly narrower, I kept the blue on top. And as I took this to the machine, what I was just very aware of is keep it, I've got a foot on with a guide with an edge. I didn't pull it, I didn't manipulate it in any way. I just let it flow through my hands, making sure that, and you can get an idea when you're stitching here that everything is even and lovely. And again, as I come to the end, if you want anything to help guide it, get your little stiletto out to just guide it. But again, I really didn't. And then I sewed just past the end of the white. Look, there's my white. And again, cut that ever so slightly longer. There was one. Next one, on it goes. And so you can batch do these. Hello, hello, Gemma.
We've got people asking about your Juki machine and what's the difference.
This Juki.
But yeah, they just want to know a bit more about it.
Right, so this that I'm working with at the moment, this is a semi-industrial tabletop Juki machine. There is a wait list for these, okay? So we are taking orders for these as a wait list, all right? Because they are in such high demand right now that the next shipment, which is due in May, is almost nearly assigned for. So there will be a wait. So the best thing that I can say is if you want one of these is to get your name on the list. There is no way that I would have been able to have sewn the quilt as quickly on my domestic machine for the simple reason that it doesn't stitch this fast, you know, and that's, I love my NX and my DX. And this is not in any way, shape or form to replace them. It just means that when Jane is using my machine or whatever, I can use this. It's smaller, it's lighter. I took it to Hochanda with me the other day. This is a second machine, okay? If you're looking for your very first sewing machine, this only does a straight stitch. What that means is that it does it blooming well. It does it incredibly well. And there you go. So I just let it run and run. And it doesn't pull to either side. So when sewing, normally when you would sew a quilt like this in strips, in all the recommendations, in all the instructions, it will tell you to stitch one side, then turn and stitch the other side so that you don't get any bananaing. There is no bananaing in my quilt because I don't have to interfere with it in any way. Okay, it's basic in that it just does a straight stitch, but what that means is that it does it really well and fast. And the other thing about it is that the way that it is put together, just in terms of how you thread it, is just ever so slightly different. There's just because you go fast on it. That's the thing. It's the speed, and it plows through. Like when I'm bag making and stuff like that, it just plows through it because it doesn't care. And in situations where with a domestic sewing machine you'd normally have to go and look for your walking foot, no. It just, I haven't had to get the walking foot out, and I have made a lot of bags with this, and I just feel like it's stepped up my sewing just yet again, and I really love that. We're gonna press, by the way, to the dark side. So it does not replace any of my other machines, and I am getting quite a collection now. I do really love them, but they're Dukey. I've got one Bonina now, and my which is a really old one, and that was bought ages ago. As when I first started, Natasha makes like an emergency machine, but otherwise, I just adore it. It's great fun. It does what it says. It just does a straight stitch. So if you've got another machine that does your zigzags, so for example, if you want to zigzag applique around your flowers, this machine isn't going to do it. So you'd still need your domestic. But if you are doing anything that just requires a straight stitch, quilting, bag making, anything like that, you can't go wrong. You just cannot go wrong. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And if you look at the quilt behind me, or it would be glaringly obvious if I'd gone wonky, wobbly or anything like that. Because it doesn't pull to one side, it just did it. It just did it. And I remember the very first time that I tried to stitch, it was a jelly roll. It was a jelly roll together, and I was horrified. I couldn't sew in a straight line. It was actually my machine pulled to the left, and I didn't know because I was just starting. I'd bought this machine. I was really pleased. We'd had it on a show that I'd done when I was at Create and Craft, and I was really thrilled with it. And I thought, this is going to be great because I'd spent, a few £100 on this machine. But actually the innards were plastic. It bounced about. I was actually better to have stuck with my grandmother's old metal Singer, because again, these Dukies, they're metal, so they don't bounce about. They are solid, so they can pick up that speed, which is just fab. So yeah, if the quickest way to get one, and there is going to be a wait, there's no other way. They are coming into the country, but like I say, there is a wait list for them. So what I wouldn't do is go, oh, well, I'll wait until they're here, because they're already allocated and gone. That's how fast they're going. We are sewing in strip sets, so next one up, you will, and I tried to line up sort of the tops of the whites because I'll trim those back. But again, there's just no interference with this. It's been fab, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I didn't wait. Mine is actually a reconditioned one. Wouldn't know. Still comes with my 2-year guarantee. Like those of you that have just got the NX7s, it's the same sort of situation for me. They just had one come in. And they're like, Tash, if you're waiting for a new one, you're going to be waiting a while. I'm like, don't care. I know that Dukey will look after me. Because I've had Dukey machines long enough, for enough years now, to know that if ever I'm stuck, there's a helpline. They will, and it's going to be the likes of Gary, who we had on the show the other day. It will be one of the engineers or someone who will help you. So, that's the thing with Dukey, is that I just know I'm in good hands. So I was happy. I know, Christine, you're in the market for a new machine, and I know that you were going, well, I'm not going to buy trouble by going for a reconditioned machine. They put the same warranty on. They put the same 2-year warranty, exactly the same as they do on their other ones. So you are looked after. You are safe. You are good to go. This is exactly how, just with longer strips, that you would make. So again, put the blue on the top, set the seam, then flip it over so that the dark seam goes underneath the dark. And that's kind of all we did. All right, now I want to check. No, I'm going to have to add one more on. I want to show you. So there's another reason that I wanted to make this quilt, and that is because I want to up my game. I'm always learning. I want to up my game, and I want to learn to free motion embroider well. So this is another reason that I got this machine. It's meant to be fabulous for it, but for all of you, those of you going, how did she make that quilt so fast? Bearing in mind, I started at 5:30 in the morning, and I had the top done by half 10. Did you see, I had my hand on there to guide it. I took it away because it's when you start interfering, you'll pull it off. So just set it up, make sure those edges are aligned, and then just let it go. If you start doing all this business, you're going to pull it out. You're going to pull it off center. So yeah, I am, it's like having a new car or anything like that. This quilt could beautifully have been made absolutely on my NX7, my DX7, on either of those, but I'm learning a new machine. So I wanted to do a project that I knew would suit the machine. And it's not that you can't do any of this on your domestic, normal machine. You absolutely can. Of course you can. Of course you can. Of course you can. Right, so this will actually be, I'm going to make this into a beautiful cushion. That's what I'm hoping. I'm going to spin that around. So, when, oh hello. No, don't sign me out. Sorry, it's logged me out. Can't do a show logged out, can I? No. Has a little mind of its own, this software. It really does. Just does what it likes. You know, to hell with anyone else. Right, so as I said, I wasn't precious. You can see all juggly ends. This is the same way that I cut back the ends when you do the borders around. Okay. Got my long ruler, and from where you've pressed, I'm going to actually on a flat surface. Where's my narrowest point? Here. And I'm going to line up my marks along here so that I know that I've got, yeah, I'm looking at nice straight marks along there. And then I am good to then trim that back. What this saved me is try as I like to try and get it nice and straight and lined up as I line these up, ready to put them into my sewing machine. Now I just cut them back, and you know, we'll do the same the other side. Obviously, when I came to cut back, and you know, when you come to trim back your whole quilt, you know, fold it in half. That would have been pressed to the dark side, and line up along your stitch line. Line up your base. Just make sure that these lines are all, don't worry actually so much about the end line. And just line up. Yeah, I went off at a funny angle there, but yeah, you'll line it up, make sure that everything. Okay, just trim it back, and you are good to go. So this is just like a teeny tiny replica of your quilt, and of course yours will finish in a navy border. We'll sort that out later. What I want to focus on, what I want to do with you right now is look at different ways in which you can applique. So when you have all your flowers and you'll set them out and go, okay, how do I want that to be. And if I'm doing this as a cushion, do I want lots dotted around, or do I actually maybe for this I'll probably just have that just in one corner, there. Okay, the process is going to be the same for all of these. All right, now what I will then do is then put this with, again, if you're worried about getting glue on your iron, making sure my curved corner here is top right so that I know I'm not getting anything gunky on my iron. Now, the joy of the House of Alistair pressing mats that we had made specifically for us here is that I pressed this. I mean, the quilt is quite big, and so I laid it out on the hall floor, put the pressing mat underneath, got my Prim mini iron with its 2-meter long cable, and I pressed it in the hallway with everything in place. Otherwise, you'll have to pin them and take it to your sewing machine. But there, that is now pressed in place. Now, as a wall hanging, you can get away with that. No problem at all. Of course you can. Absolutely you can. That's no problem. I need just to do that. If you're not going to wash it, then it doesn't matter. Okay. If you are going to do anything else with it, if you are going to use it as a quilt, then let's have a look. You've got an option. You can either take this and free motion embroider this on your machine as is, or you can take it to your machine and then free motion it as you quilt it. So let's have a look at how we would do that exactly. Now, this is a point where, you know, actually I'm learning this too. And this was one of the reasons that I wanted to get this machine, was so that I could do exactly this. So, I mean, this wadding here, I will be cutting this cushion back. So I'm just going to pop this underneath just as a demonstration to show you. And then you can layer up. If you want to make sure that's not going to go anywhere, then you've got your 505 spray, something like that. I would spray the back of the fabric, not the wadding. Do it in a well ventilated area, not onto your mat. I have something, I mean, obviously I can't sort of leave the set to go and do this. So if I get some on my mat, I have a little item, a little spray thing that is called Stick Away, and it just takes that stick off. So you can start to build up your sandwich. So this is just like a small version of. Let me get some backing fabric. So however you want to back these, I'm just using scraps. Give this a quick press. And then it can be used. Scrap bags, by the way, we had those on over the weekend. So did you manage to get hold of those? There's all sorts. There's Liberty in there. There's Lisa Chandler. There's Cave. Basically, you look at all of the fabrics. It's got bolt ends and stuff in there, or offcuts from the shows or anything. So if you have a look at what we've done recently on the shows, it's going to give you a pretty good idea. Some of them have got some of the cork, and I've made sure that if you have got little bits of cork in there, they're big enough for a project. So whether you want to do one of the wristlets or whether you want to do, we did these a little while ago. And again, this is a Sally Tomato download where with the fob ends, and it just keeps your wires tidy and out of the way. You've got enough cork to do with those, so they're all in your whatchamacallit, scrap bags. Okay. So again, you'd lay this up. You would do this better than me because obviously I'm trying really hard not to get this on my mat. You can pin it. If you don't like sprays, pin it. But yeah, there we go. And it is repositionable, so if you do have a little bit that you're not happy with, just use it. I love a spray based. It's quick and easy and to the point. I'm always happy about that. Right, so you now have a choice if you want to take it to your machine. So I'm going to just turn this off very quickly. And this is the thing, like this isn't all singing or dancing like the beautiful NX and the DX. Like with the NX, if I come to change a foot, I would just press the lock button and that locks everything. And also the feet are easier to change on the NX because they've just got clip-off feet. These, you actually have to unscrew stuff and actually remember how to do that. Right, so I'm going to put on my free motion embroidery foot. I'm going to go with an open toe one so that I can see exactly where I'm going. And then let's just screw that into place. Now this is the thing, isn't it? I always try and do this so that you can see and then make it a lot harder for myself. Why did I do that? That way, that way. So that is now merrily in place. Look at it being all merry everywhere. This is where you have a choice, okay? You can pop this under here, like so, and pop your foot down. And off you go. Now here on this machine, I can adjust the pressure of this foot as to how, I don't know which way is which, but you can do it so that you can move that. Yeah, so that you can move that with ease underneath. Oh, there it is. Okay. So you've got just a light pressure then, and you can move that around there. Get your quilting gloves out, do whatever you need to do. Or. And this was a tip. Actually, I first heard this from Gary DeBrick. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's like, get your embroidery hoop out. That is gonna, as you do that, and it does need to be able to move as you go around, that's gonna make you really tired. Really tired. So the other trick is to put it in your embroidery hoop. Now, these are adjustable. I haven't tried this with, I just had this with just normal cotton on earlier. There we go. But, oh yeah, you're going to want to see, aren't you? There we go. So just pop it in there. If you need to tighten it, then do. But then that gives you, I need it in the other way around. Yeah, you want to do it this way. Sorry. Do it this way round so that it goes into your hoop like that. So that is then, can you see, and you can pull it and stretch it and all of those sorts of things. That is then going to give you a much easier way to do the free motion. Now, I haven't checked this on my machine with wadding. I did this just earlier, just single. Now let me see, I'm going to have to take that foot off. So when you have a whole quilt to do, like this foot, again, this foot doesn't lift. I'm used to my other machine where you've got like an extra lift, righty tighty, lefty loosey, that's the one. And so I've misjudged that. Normally with my machine, with my NX, you've got that extra lift to lift that foot out of the way. That's fine. We will go in, and I might even need to take the needle out just to get that under, but then you'll just reposition it on the frame as you go. In fact, I'll put a fresh needle in. So get that under there, like so. Put your foot back on. Now, I mean, this might look like it's a little bit of a faff to start off with, but I mean, it's a big old quilt. I'm going to be doing this for a while. So, righty tighty. Does anybody else have to do it? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. That's the one. So that's that in. Shall we pop in a new needle? Yay! Let's do that. These needles are weird on these machines because they go in what you would consider to be sideways. Now that's because these machines are fabulous if you have a quilting frame, and that's actually where Jukies sell the majority of them, is to people who have quilting frames. Let's just tighten that. That's a nice new thing going in. Let's make that all good. So that goes down there like that. Put a little bit of extra thread down, and then you can see. So when I come to do the yeah, see, it threads it back to front, or side to side rather. Weird, very, very weird. Now you can see now that is a lot easier to maneuver around. Okay, so let's find a bit that maybe we might want to work on. Now, like I say, I am new to this. Okay, I got I'm missing a foot, that's why I'm wobbling. First thing they tell you everywhere is to pull up and pull that bottom thread through. So there's my bottom thread. Now that's been snipped, and then you can just move those out of the way when you start, and then you're good to go. I'm going to put this on 0. I'm going to drop my feed dogs. Okay, maybe if I keep this out of the way for you here so that you can see. So this is going to be as long a stitch as I want to make it. Now I'm going to, this is where these scissors come in, okay, because they go over, can you see, they go over the top of there, and I can go in if I want to and snip those out the way if you're not going to tie them off. If you're going to tie them off, then don't worry, but it just means you can actually get in, and that's where these are fab. Now, like I say, I only just started doing this morning, so I am learning with you, but this certainly gives you more control as you go around Oh, no. So I thought I'd got to the end. No, there we are. Now my hoop is actually too big for this machine. So I can only get that bit round to there. I've ordered smaller hoops for this. This was just the one that I happen to have kicking about. But I will then come in and go, let's just cheat, and come in round there. But it's just a matter of so foot down, up, and if you can, there you go, pull that thread through, take them off to one side. And again, like, I am really beginner at this, but all this is going to do, and again, just do a couple of stitches in one place. It's like you're holding stitch, isn't it? I'm sure that if Angie Atwood is watching, she'll be like, what are you doing? But it's, can you see, I can either do big stitches or little ones by how fast I move my frame, and I'm pretty sure that by the time I've done nearly 50 of these flowers, I'm going to be a pro. And we all have those projects, don't we, that inspire us to start stuff. And this for me was mine. And when I come to quilt mine as well, I will free motion around my flowers. If I can take this, can I take, no, I'm going to have to take that foot off, just to show you everything that's going on in the hoop. Oops. So what we've got is we're starting to get that beautiful quilting around there. Now I've gone in with a sort of minky colour, and you can see this is where it's not, and actually I just need to adhere that down. I just didn't get that with my thingy enough. What's the word I want? With my iron, I just didn't press it down with my iron enough. And again, with these scissors, how great are they? Because I'm not struggling. If I want to just snip those off, then I can. If this is going to be washed, then of course you'd post those back through, you'd tie them off on the back. But that, for me, that's my second attempt at free motion on here. And I really love it. I'm really happy with that. I want to show you one more technique. Actually two more techniques. I feel like this has become my sacrificial fabric here. So let's rough cut around one of these. So again, all of these are completely acceptable. Completely acceptable in terms of ways of appliquing, and it's just finding one that is going to work for you. I think that's the key here for me, is finding one that is going to work beautifully for you. Now here we go. This is a bit of chambray. And what we'll do, we'll just press that. Are we all good? Is this making sense? Because Susie's working with us today. She's doing a bit of cutting, and she said, "You're going to free motion in front of everyone today." I was like, yeah. just so that I've got this straight in my head, you are going to free motion. You who doesn't free motion, like, yes, yes. Your point being, she's like, oh, that's brave. I could kind of hear her saying, or stupid in her head. But this is the thing, isn't it? Like I know that this is a really safe space with everyone here. And that's what's, you know, kind of important, is that for me. Now, you can straight stitch around these. You can do all sorts of different things. I'm gonna go back in. I probably won't worry so much about the hoop and whatnot. So this won't be as neat or anything like that. But I've put, and again, if you want to, you can. That's the wrong foot. Where did I put my? Here it is. So for this, I'm going to have to adjust the pressure. Bring that pressure down. Pressure up a bit. There we go. Pop my needle down. Needle up. Oh, helps if I. There we go. Pull that bottom bit through. Grab yourself a pair of tweezers, make life easy. So, what we're going to do this time, same deal again. All right. But keep those out the way. So I'm getting my free motion on all over the place. Now, you have to bear with me because, as we know, I am a beginner. I'm going to snip these out the way. Again, if you're going to quilt this properly, then you would just save those. You would pop them with a needle down through and whatever. Let's lift that up. So I've got my needle down position. That is there. And then down through there. Spin it around. Got like the largest piece of fabric now, I realise. So you can do this, like you don't have to have it all fully wadded. And I just want to show you a couple of ways. If you don't want to use bond web, so you would carefully go around. If you wanted to base this in place a little bit with, say, your sew line pen, then you can. Susie says I've got to remember to breathe. She's like, just remember to breathe. If you've got a speed adjuster, just put it on slow for when you start. So here we go, there's no rushes there. But I really wanted to show you this because it's really easy otherwise to follow people who've been free motioning and they just sort of do it and go, oh, and it's as easy as that. And you go, well, is it though? Because, you know. But if this is honestly, I can show you how much I did this morning. It was very, very little. Not gonna lie, it's really nice with the hoop. What am I doing? Just trying to spin that so that I can, coming down here now. And across to there. So this is maybe where you might want to get yourself a pair of quilting gloves. And just like, what happens if I speed up here? Just, if you're worried, use use a thread that's going to blend in all nicely. But otherwise, I'm quite happy bimbling along. This has just got to make sure that it's not going to fall off. But I want to use this to show you 2 other techniques. Now those who do free motion will probably be sitting there with their head in their hands going, what is she doing? She's no good at this. No, I'm not, because I'm new to it and I want to learn, and I want to show people that it's okay to learn and that it's okay to try new stuff, because your machine, whoops, probably comes with one of these feet. And have you ever used it? No. So your stitch length will be determined by how fast your machine is going and how much you move all of this up and down. So, you know, practice with a few of these. If I'd have had time for this morning, that is what I would have done. Right. So the techniques that I want to show you, they will work in the hoop as much as anything else. And these are what I want to use. These are duck build embroidery scissors. So if you, let's take this out of the machine. This is a way that's hinted at in the book whereby you go in. Now, the duck bill side, you can see it's sort of built up. One side, it gets fatter one side. And it means that you can go in, and dressmakers use these as well. But it means I can go in super close to my stitching. Let me see. There's my stitching, and that is how close. There's no way that you would be able to stitch that close to anything. So this is the other way, is that you can go in and use your duck bill scissors to then snip away. And this is on any type of applique, and we've got these scissors. Look, they can go into all that little narrow bit down there. We've got these scissors on the website at a really cracking price, so they're not going to break the bank, but they will last a lifetime for you. So round you go, and what it's doing, I remember Angie saying that she didn't have a pair of these when she did a layered applique project, and actually ended up cutting through the fabric and having to start all over again because she didn't have a pair of these. So that angle, you just lift that out of the way, the bit that you're cutting, that just lifts out the way. And it's really neat. It's a really neat way of doing that applique. Now, how else can you use them? If you are worried, if you want to use a dark backing like I have on my quilt, and you're worried about bulk, or you're worried that any of it's going to show through, then this is what you do. And actually there are some Tote projects where this technique is called for. Now you want to be really, really careful. This is why you don't bond this. You want to be really careful not to cut through your under fabric. But there we go. That is just my top layer of fabric. Let me find my way down over to, where did I snip back? Oh, I'll come up over here to a side that I haven't snipped back. So again, you are going to have your stitching on the duck bill side. And what this means, no, I'm good, thanks. You can load some more. I can get some more silicone mats. They're so good for applique. And it just means that what you can do is go in really close to your stitches. So you can see, there's my stitching. That's my fabric. So if you've got, this is particularly useful if you're trying to A, get rid of bulk, or B, if you've got a light fabric. It's not so bad on this because these are patterned, but if you've got a light coloured front onto a dark background, then you would want to go in and remove this. In fact, I've seen some of the Tote projects where you actually do this from the top, and what it reveals is your beautiful fabric underneath. And you can go and you can work your way round. But honestly, these are fab and super, super sharp. And again, remember, these are scissors that you can have for a lifetime because you can get them fresh and sharpened. Let me just get rid of all of that. But it's this bit here that is allowed. Can you see how close I've gone to the stitching there? And that's what it's allowed me to do. So then, say that was a really dark background, I didn't want that showing through, it's not going to. It's just not going to. So there's a couple of ways in which we use the duck build scissors, and then also with these, if you want to go in and cut into really, really tight little spots, we had one in there, then you can get in there. Obviously you don't have the stitch protection that you would if you went in with your duck build, but you can get in into those really, really narrow bits that the duck bill doesn't quite get into because of its bill. So that's why we sell these as a pair. That's why they are fabulous and I love them very, very much. So we've done bonded raw edge applique. We have done where you applique and then you trim it back from the front and from the back. So the only other one would be, and I would have to get my other machine out to do this, would be just to do a zigzag stitch or, and we've done this and we will do this again. I've got another project in mind for this, where you would put a faux blanket stitch around the edge. But if you want to have a go at free motion, and that's what I'm going to do, because for me all of these flowers will fit into a frame, which means that I'm going to get used to free motioning, and then I'm going to echo free motion around the outside away, and that's what's going to teach me, because it's something that I'm worried about, it's something that I'm scared to do. So the only way to do it, to get over that, is to do it. That's the one. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's your applique. And so just repeat either that until it reaches that. Do we have any questions or anything? Let's have a little look. Morning, Natasha and the team. Sunny here in Wellingborough. Not going to the office this week. Oh, good for you, Kirsty. I use patterns as a guide, inspiration, and then have a go, and then have to go right instead of left. But that's just it, isn't it? These patterns are there for inspiration. And if you are new, if you are worried about things, then of course, what you want to do is use those patterns, get your confidence up, get to a stage where you can personalise if you want to, or just copy it exactly. There's no right or wrong wrong way. I do love hearing people say they want to test out their new machine for different functions. Fearless, Natasha, fearless. Fearless / someone say stupid. But either way, it hasn't been a complete disaster, which is excellent. But that's the thing. You know, I've done this in front of all of you. I've put my big girl pants on and I've given it a go. And actually, I'm really, really pleased. And I can't wait now to put my... the only reason I'm not actually doing it straight onto that is because I haven't had chance to actually put any wad in and the backing on it yet. Because when I do this, you can either do it like that, just to put your applique down and then quilt it. But actually, I want this free motion to be my quilting. That's what I'm going to do with it. John, you're very late. We're nearly done. I won't deny that Cave Book is my pick of the year so far. It's so amazing. It is a beautiful book, and that's where this quilt has come from. So good morning to everybody. Spot of knitting before work, says Christine. Beautiful project. Yeah, do it. Would it be possible to do fat quarter bundle of flowers to do the quilt? Laurie, you do need a ½ metre realistically to allow you to get the full flowers. That's what I would say. Even if you go for fewer, then I honestly, a fat quarter is not, it's let me show you why. This is the right size, I think. So with the fat quarter, I've got one there I can't use that one, I can't use that one, half bit of that's missing, can't use that one, can't use that one. I've got 1, 2, 3, at a push, if I did some jiggly pokely there, I've got 4 flowers here that I could use. With a ½ metre, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because suddenly these aren't cut in half, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've got so many more out of my ½ metre than if I just went with a fat quarter. So I'd go for a ½ metre. Honestly, I would. That's my, I mean, yeah, Laurie, you know, if you do want fat quarters, then message us and I'm sure that we can sort something out for you. But honestly, for cost effectiveness, actually the ½ metres are better. They really are. So I would just pick 4 ½ metres that you absolutely love. Now we've had a lot of these as ½ metre heavens. You might already have some of these. It might be that you then want to use some of your ½ metre heaven plains, buy a bit more of that plain and use that as your stripe for your background. It's entirely up to you. Or maybe you just want to start off with a cushion size and work your way up. The choice is yours. That's the absolute beauty of quilting, isn't it? But yeah, that is pretty much today's show. Now tomorrow we're going to look at a Lisa Chandler bag and how to do all of that and that shenanigans. So we will be doing that tomorrow. So I'm going to leave you. I can see my children are home and Freddie's got a haircut looking very smart. So I'm going to go and spend some time with them before they go back to school tomorrow. And take care. Have a lovely rest of your day. And I will see you at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Take care. Bye-bye.